Previously on the council, Louis has stuck his hand into a bloody hole, with massively different results.
I sense that Mr. Peru is about to surprise us too.
I believed in him. I followed him to the best of my ability. I championed his ideas, defended his decisions, and then, without even realizing it, I became lost.
Now that I've told you everything, you want to take my place, do you? No. I am Emily. You are wasting your time. Louis knows very well how to tell us apart.
Someone had the bang coming from the Duchess's room, and she isn't answering.
Louis, you really must learn to conceal your weaknesses better, if you don't want your foes to use them against you.
Our desire is to steer the destiny of our respective countries for the good of all, and to no longer suffer the random hazards of history.
It is the natural order of things, Monsieur de Richet. There have always been men who govern other men. That is simply the way it is.
History forgets them with a disconcerting facility. No one speaks about them, and yet they whisper in the ears of kings and presidents.
Yeah, let's just keep holding this shot for a couple of minutes. And a loading screen. We're going to see a brand new location today. It's one of the larger ones in the game, and that's not doing it any favors.
But where are we?
I don't know, but we better not hang around. Be careful, Mother. As if me saying that will make any difference. Knowing Mortimer, I wouldn't be surprised if he rigged his crypt with traps.
So you think the door is not enough?
Do you want to wager your other hand?
You've got a point there. We have to find that weapon. What do you know about the Holy Lance, Louis?
The what?
The Lance of Longinus the Centurion.
Surprisingly, I know quite a lot about it.
Now that you mention it, I did catch Von Wollner in the middle of an altercation with Piaggi.
What?
Von Wollner blamed His Eminence for having supplied Mortimer with all the lances in the Vatican's possession.
If Mortimer has all of them in his possession, it's not going to help us.
Seriously? You don't really believe that fable, do you?
Every fable is founded on true events. I'm not saying that everything adds up, but imagine if it really did exist.
Very well. Now what?
Well, now you know what you need to find.
Pardon?
I have to get to the wharf to prepare our departure. Let's get off this cursed island as quickly as we can. We shall come back when we are ready and armed.
But hang on.
Louis, let's first get to safety. We shall come back when we have the upper hand. Fear not. You take care of getting the lance. It's imperative. I'll take care of preparing our departure.
Hang on. At least tell me everything you know about this lance.
But I have never seen it. There's nothing else I can say, Louis. Well, you can always go snooping around Mortimer's study. I remember seeing paintings of Longinus there.
Hang on a second.
What's the matter?
Why did you shoot Emily's sister?
Do you really think now is the right time for this?
I want to know, Mother. Why did you betray her?
Listen, Louis. I don't think you've really understood my interest in the Al-Azif. It's not just simple curiosity about some old relic.
You tried to kill her.
And I had no choice, for crying out loud. It must not fall into the hands of the demons, or we are all doomed, don't you see? Listen, I don't know exactly what it contains, but I prefer to be one step ahead. If they want it, there must be a reason. And even if I don't know what it is, I want to stop them for safety's sake, no matter what.
Nothing will stop you if I understand correctly. Not even...
Enough, Louis. If you could see the extent of their power as I do, then you would understand what I'm saying.
All right, we'll do it your way.
One more thing. If they find you in possession of the lance, they won't let you get away with it. Choose only one and hide it under your jacket so you don't get caught with it. Then run and meet me on the wharf.
And if I get caught?
If they catch you in possession of the lance, we're all doomed. Do you understand?
Perfectly.
Good. And go talk to Piaggi. He's the one who probably knows the most about this.
Alright. Yeah, it's like Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail, only with spears. And yes, this is actually the second puzzle in a row where we find something in the crypt, have to go out through the maze, search the entire manor for clues or keys, and then come back to the crypt to actually solve the puzzle. Apparently I can recycle one of the nails from the crucifixion.
The Bible must mean the lance which finally took the life of Christ. The four Gospels each give an account of the death of Christ. Let's see what they can tell me about the lance. There's nothing about the lance in this account of the crucifixion. This apostle does not mention the lance in his description of the death of Christ. There's no mention of the lance in what Luke says about the death of Christ. Ah, there.
When they came to Jesus and saw that he was dead already, they broke not his legs, but one of the soldiers with a shimmering lance pierced his side, and forthwith there came out blood and water. And he that saw it bore witness, and his record is true, and he knoweth that he saith true, that ye might believe. A shimmering lance? What is this telling me?
Perhaps that it was shimmering? Or maybe, I don't know, covered in glitter?
The name of the Roman soldier who killed Christ never appears in the biblical canon. Yet, it is said that he was a centurion and was called Longinus. Medieval Hermetic traditions evoke the idea of using noble materials for relics, which the monasteries often made themselves in order to attract pilgrims. Of course, they had to inspire greatness. So here, we might think of gold, whereas a centurion could not have hoped for anything better than copper at the time. The true lance would not have been a luxurious weapon.
It's just like picking the wooden cup. Alright, let's go get Piaggi. And this time I'm not going to cut out the trip from the crypt to anywhere in the building. This is the trip you have to take every single time you're solving a puzzle here. 2 quests in a row. In the meantime, I'll tell you a story about the Holy Lands. It starts with Russian social networks, specifically a community, the name of which could be translated as the Suffering Middle Ages. Its main gimmick is posting fragments of medieval art featuring such oddities as really incorrectly drawn animals, penises being used as text highlighters in a codex of laws, nuns collecting a harvest of dicks from a tree, Moses with horns, the Holy Trinity as a 3-headed beast, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that and a lot of other stuff, like a cat escaping with a dick in its mouth, was popular enough for a book to be written and published. I don't believe it's been translated, unfortunately, but it's 400 pages of explanations by art historians and medievalists, professional specialists, of how this ridiculous art came to be, where it came from. It also touches upon some things beyond art. For example, since there was no public education back in the day, people rarely knew much outside of the area they lived in, and outside of their trade. So, to explain some of the more complex metaphors or imagery of the Bible, the church had to adapt its own language and talk to the common folk, using the concepts and the terms they could understand from their daily job. Apparently it was a pretty popular method back in the day because it wasn't limited to just verbal explanations.
Devil's Thorn. I'll keep it.
That produced depictions of Christ doing all kinds of stuff. Well, let me check the book. Christ pressing grapes, Christ dying, not dying on a cross, I mean dying fabric, Christ the warrior, Christ the executioner, Christ the merchant, Christ the apothecary. And naturally, the later involves Christ checking out a glass tube of the patient's urine. And there were also depictions of Christ as the product of various trades, such as some wine, a ship, or a parchment.
Amber crystals.
Oh, I apologize here. I can't skip cutscenes again. New episode, no cutscene skip.
The lock is surrounded by a triple circle.
Let's all together stare longingly at this box.
I have no space left. I'll retrieve it later.
Anyway, my most favorite, by far, trade-based explanation of the life of Christ in the book is... I think it's the execution of Christ as narrated for housewives. But I'll tell you about that closer to the end of the video. For now, I've got a Cardinal to push off the balcony.
Your Eminence, would you have a moment to spare?
Not now, Louis. Please, leave me alone.
I beg your pardon?
I want to be alone.
Very well. I'm only searching for information about the lance of Longinus, the soldier. If you could...
You are not listening to me. You are playing with fire.
I heard you speak to Mr. von Wollner about it, and I was wondering if you could tell me something about it.
That was a private conversation. How could I have known that he was listening to us?
I see what you mean.
Louis, don't push it. Leave while you still can.
Your Eminence, are you all right? Your Eminence, are you with me? Can you turn around, please?
What do you want to know about the Holy Lance, Louis?
Your Eminence, turn around.
This is the weapon used by a Roman centurion on the very day Christ was nailed to the cross.
Look at me.
Longinus thrust his lance in the right side of Jesus.
Please.
As you wish.
His nose is bleeding.
So you are looking for the Holy Lance of Longinus, are you?
I really want what he knows, so let's take some precautions.
No, I was wondering about it myself.
Oh, Louis. It's even worse than I thought. I believe you when you say you only come to find out more. But in that case, it means that Sarah didn't even tell you the point of it all. Because, believe me, you are looking for it. You are looking for the lance. You should know, you are not the only one. Lord Mortimer has spent a good part of his life and his fortune trying to find it. Never will he let you have it. But tell me, before going any further, have you spoken to anyone else about this?
Oh, do I have to tell the truth?
Yes, my mother knows about it.
Of course, Sarah. Who else?
No one else.
What are you going to use the lance for, exactly?
I need it.
Why?
You won't understand.
Try me, Louis.
I need to protect myself with it.
Louis, I thank you for your sincerity. I shall answer you about Longinus. You deserve to be told. His spear-headed lance did indeed pierce the side of the Messiah. His blood gushed out, covering the head of the lance. It was covered in the blood of Christ.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Eminence.
You are welcome. Be careful, Louis. You are on a perilous path. Don't follow Sarah's demons, my boy. Don't delve too deeply into her delusions, or you won't be able to come back. The demons that she is frantically trying to drive away are in her own mind. Take good care of yourself. God keep you.
Whatever the fuck's just happened? I think we've just seen our first remotely operated Cardinal. He was clearly not himself. Mortimer's messing with us. George, how's your mind control doing?
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening.
I'm back on the trail of my mother again. I don't have time to explain, but would you know anything about the Holy Lance?
That's good news. But be careful, Louis. You might end up getting noticed.
Do you know anything or not?
No, I regret I don't. But why not ask von Wallner? Theology is his field, after all.
That's an idea. In that case, I'll try and find him.
You are keeping up the good work, I see. But I'm telling you, keep your guard up. Everyone is rather on edge right now.
You're right. Thanks for everything, Mr. President.
See you later.
Useless as ever, a very stable genius. Oh, notes! Have I completed a set? Yes, Sarah's notes, and it would appear that the entire wealth of Sarah's knowledge is worth less points than one level up. Let's go upstairs. What is this noise? Oh, I see.
Pardon me, monsieur, but I have work to do.
I suppose them all speaking in Mortimer's voice makes a bit more sense now? Also wearing masks, because you don't want to see them nosebleed. Although I wonder if Mortimer can actually control every single servant on the island at all times.
Dear Mr. All right. I've retrieved everything.
Jacques, are you home?
Great. Honey.
Is that a new book? A questioning book. Well, that's my class skill, that's nice. And there were also a couple of things I want to check out at Piaggi's place.
The Cardinal's not in his room. I bet he went back to stuffing himself.
A brilliant observation, Louis. What's up there?
Cardinal Lightwater will give me a little reprieve. The Rape of the Daughters of Lucipis by Rubens. Surprising choice for His Eminence Piaggi. Amber crystals.
It seems that Piaggi indulges in every single sin he can get his hands on. Oh, I haven't explored his section of the balcony yet, have I? I don't see anything here.
Let's have a look at his personal papers. Of course, it's in Latin, the language of the church.
Shit, this is the one skill I don't have. Thank you, Mother.
Damn it. I should have followed my mother's advice and spent more time studying the classics. The Cardinal's not in his room. I bet he went back to stuffing himself.
Louis, we heard you the first time. Let's go and find von Wöllner.
It seems like he isn't here.
Does that mean I can search his place again?
Carmelite water. They say that if you drink this, it gives you a real boost. Golden elixir. What a mess. Looks like Volnor was interrupted.
A hammer. Well, at least there's no sickle.
Looks a lot like straw. And he's drawn something in a hurry on this sheet.
Oh, sheet.
Straw on his desk. As if to protect something fragile. Yes. Someone must have packed something away here.
A letter from Gregory to Johann. It seems that von Wöllner is trying to escape the island, and he also may be trying to study the book. You know, as if, because he's found it. Except Gregory's having none of that. He's supposed to leave it at the agreed place, so maybe I'll be able to find it later. I didn't in my first playthrough.
Looks a lot like straw. And he's drawn something in a hurry on this sheet. I get the feeling that I've seen that somewhere before. Yes, it's definitely a drawing of the Lock of Al-Azif. Volner must have kept a copy.
Alright, so we know Al-Azif is on the island, possibly in some straw, in a box nailed shut.
So, let's see what Volner has in his bookcase. A few works on religions, 2 scientific essays about human thought. Most of these works are on alchemy. Longini Militis Fabulum. Ah! What have we here? It looks like a kind of biography on Longinus the Centurion. Truly, Volner has done everything he can to get information about that lance. I'd better keep this one, though.
De Richet?
Damn, that's all I need. Maybe he knows something about the lance.
What are you doing in my room?
Well, sir, I see you have some captivating books, and you seem to be rather interested in the famous Longinus.
No, it's... what's it to do with you?
I overheard you speaking with Piaggi. What are you two up to, exactly?
No, Oh, fine. Yes. We are looking for the Holy Lance. That imbecile has given Mortimer all the ones kept in the private collection of the Holy See. But it's not what you think. Hang on a minute. You're the one looking for the lance.
No,
Don't take me for a fool. You are looking for the Holy Lances.
What's the matter? You seem completely panicked at the idea I might be interested in this relic.
No, that's not true.
What are you so afraid of?
I'm not afraid.
You know Mortimer's got it, so you're not worried that I'd give it back to him.
What are
so
you?
Why are you so terrified of me being able to find it?
You have no idea what it is you're looking for. What are you playing at, Richet? Mortimer's the one who has that cursed lance.
How long have you been looking for it?
I see. You want it, and so you plan to steal it from Mortimer.
For a long time. Isn't that right?
Why, you little swine! You're planning to give it to Sir Gregory. You're looking to double-cross me and Piaggi too.
What on earth is he talking about?
I like the no you jackass option, but I fear it might not facilitate communication.
But calm yourself, goddammit. You're the one I'm trying to help.
What?
I heard you talking with His Eminence, and it seemed to me that this story about the lances had put you in a tight spot. I was only trying to be helpful.
But why didn't you tell me straight away?
Seeing as I hadn't found it, I didn't want to commit myself too quickly. If I'd failed, I would have looked like a beginner.
I understand, Louis. I thought you were trying to manipulate me. But please, excuse me. I got a little bit carried away. But you can't get ahead by staying in the shadows on a case like this. There are already several of us searching for the lance of Longinus. And it would be smarter to pool our information.
Unfortunately, I've barely made any progress. I'm still trying to find out what the original lance really looked like.
Let me reassure you, we've all been there, given the number of copies there are in existence. It also took us quite some time to discover its true shape. Many believe the central part of the head of the lance to be covered in gold, whereas, in truth, its center is made of an alloy of copper and iron.
That does make sense. In those times, a centurion wouldn't have any chance of possessing a lance made of gold.
That is the perversion of Christian idolatry. A copper lance could not have been noble enough to pierce the side of Christ.
Anyway, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Louis. Keep me posted as to your research. We're bound to end up recovering it.
I'm counting on it. See you later. I managed to get the biography of Longinus the Centurion. Let's see what it can teach me. An interesting passage here tells me that the lance is engraved with the symbol of the first Christians, the fish.
The last place I can think of regarding clues is that painting in Mortimer's study, the open study.
Longinus is holding the holy lance in his left hand, and I'll bet he's holding the sponge soaked in holy blood in the other hand. Yes! Here we can see that the holy lance is represented in the shape of a spear. I better make sure I check this twice. It's a work that dates from the Renaissance. There's nothing to say that it's not based on erroneous elements. This work is an order from Lord Mortimer. All the details have been conceived with a specific goal in mind. Upon closer examination, you can see that even the style clashes with that of most of the other works in the manor. No, if Mortimer has taken special care as the conception and the exhibition of this painting in his study in the same way as for the nightmare painting, it must be of some significance. And that is indeed the true shape of the Holy Lance, a spear shape. But I believe what I read in the letter from Milan addressed to Mortimer. There's every reason to believe that this painting has been modified according to his guidelines to represent the true shape of the Holy Lance, a spear shape. There's only one way of being sure. I'll have to find other clues that will confirm this information.
Let's ask the bird. Do you know? No? There's nothing new here, and Mortimer commissioning the painting is supposed to mean that it is true. Wait a second, Piaggi said what? He didn't tell me it was the shape of a boar spear, he told me it was covered in blood. I went back and checked, and he said it was spearheaded, which is not descriptive in any way. The developers are French, they may have fucked up the translation a bit. It is finally time to check out the spears, and you should pay attention, because you are going to decide which spear Louis II picks. So in the following 10 minutes I'm going to examine all the crap in this crypt, including the spears, and I'll give each of them a name. And then I'll see if I can put them all up for a vote. There's something strange about this place, it doesn't quite seem real. I suppose this cabin looks like it's the size of the entire island. But the mansion was at the top, so I don't know how we ended up here at the bottom. First spear, the one nearest the door.
I can see that this lance has a so-called leaf shape. It is made entirely of iron. I can see that the tip is engraved with the symbol of the sun.
Second spear, my back is on fire.
I can see that this lance has the characteristic shape of a spear. It is made of iron, and its tip is engraved with a cross. Amber crystals.
To continue our tour of spear-shaped lances, we'll have to go out on those precarious bridges with no safety railings.
This sarcophagus is engraved with the name of Clemens III. Good God! The one whose cross allowed me to enter. This sarcophagus is beautifully made, but ancient. Stone is marked by the passage of time, but it's really well preserved. That was the Pope from the Middle Ages who inspired the Third Crusade. He gave the Roman people the power to elect their magistrates.
So anyway, the death of Christ for housewives.
You see, dear ladies, when you're cooking, say, a chicken, before you do anything to the bird, you need to pluck its feathers. Well, much the same way, Christ was stripped bare before his execution.
Spear number 3. Very remote, I'm going to call it asshole.
I can see that this spear has a so-called leaf shape. It is copper rimmed. I can see the tip is engraved with the symbol of the Eye of Ra.
Now, after you've plucked the bird clean, you stick a spit through it to roast it. And similarly, Christ was placed on the cross.
This one has no name. I wonder who it was for.
And what do you do to the bird after that, dear ladies? Yes, you place it into the oven or over the fire. And much like that, our Lord and Savior was left under the scorching sun. And then some time passes, and you need to check if the bird is done. How do you do that? Well, yes, you stick a knife into the bird and see what pours out. And Jesus was poked by a lance, following much the same idea. Except out of him poured the white fat of love and mercy, and everyone knew that he was done. Who wrote this shit?
Number 4, the floor spear.
Well, here we can see this lance has a leaf shape, is gold rimmed, and a fish is engraved on the tip.
So, that was the idea of the Death of Christ for Housewives by an anonymous 13th century author. Yeah, even back in the day he knew well enough not to put his name on it.
Flavius Aetius. It was cut a long time ago. You could tell by the rough hacks of the tool and the patina of the stone. This sarcophagus is very ancient. I'd say it's several centuries old. I remember, he was the Roman general who defeated Attila and his hordes in the terrible battle of the Catalonian plains. Flavius Aetius, the one they call the last of the Romans. He was assassinated by his own emperor, who was jealous of all his victories. But how did he end up here?
Who knows? Maybe the shipment got misrouted. This is what now? Number 5? Let's call it Brittany.
This lance has got a blade in the shape of a spear. Its blade is in iron or steel, I think. I can make out a rising sun engraved on the tip.
Are there any more spears in this dead end?
The sarcophagus has been ravaged by time. It's sort of ageless, I guess. It's entirely sculpted. Is this the tomb of a king? Judging by all the sculpted symbols of power, this is really ancient. The inscriptions are all eroded. I don't know what those marks mean, but maybe a stone or an epitaph.
Spear number 6, ready to jump.
Well, we can see that this lance has a particular spear shape. It is coated in gold. You can distinguish the symbol of the fish engraved on the tip, barely noticeable.
And now we plod all the way back, because this is a dead end. Seriously, why did the developers think it was a good idea to put 2 quests involving lots of running across the entire map, back to back? Although on the plus side, as far as I remember, this is one of the last big puzzles of the game. Maybe even the last one. After this, the story picks up pace and it starts to feel a bit more linear, a bit more coherent, a bit more narrative-driven. I'd like to say enjoy it while it lasts, but this is not really fun. The distance between the spears does nothing to improve the puzzle. Spear 7, some bling.
We can see that this lance has a leaf shape, and, well, it's in gold. I can see that a crucifix is engraved on the tip, just barely visible.
Now, there's an invisible wall. There are invisible walls all over the place. I wonder what Markus Siltanen would say about the invisible walls as a safety measure. This is starting to look more decorated. Spear 8, Dutch angle.
Let's take a look at this lance here. It has a very special leaf shape. It is copper rimmed, and I can see a fish symbol engraved on the tip.
But wait, there's more. Spear 9, Saturn 5.
I can see that this lance has the shape of a boar spear. The blade is partially coated in copper, and I can just make out the symbol of the Eye of Ra engraved on the tip.
Ooh, candles. Spear 10, way too obvious.
I can see this lance has a spear shape, it is copper rimmed, and it has been engraved with the symbol of the Christian fish on the tip.
Fun fact. The servants have to open the guillotine door every few hours to come here and replace the candles. Number 11. Are we there yet?
This lance has a leaf shape. It is copper rimmed. The symbol of the Christian fish is engraved on the tip.
Number 12. No, shut up.
I can see that this lance has a so-called leaf shape. It is clearly made of iron, and I can make out a sun engraved on the tip.
Oh, fucking finally. I believe this is the last section of the crypt.
The sarcophagus of Lord Mortimer. Let's see what we can find here. Ha! Great! Now let's see what's inside.
Lots and lots of royal jelly. Mortimer's got a sweet tooth as well. There are some minor skill gains for vandalism and exploration. Nice. Spear 13, the last one.
What about this lance? It's got a spear shape. And the blade is partly made of copper. A barely visible crucifix is engraved on the blade.
And so that's all 13 lances in the crypt. Was that the number Piaggi delivered? I don't know. I'm going to pick one off camera. This map is really annoying to navigate, and yes, we'll revisit it later. Alright, so I've picked out a spear. Here it is. And as you can see by the game's description, it spilled the blood of Christ. And that is what makes it suitable for killing demons. How very interesting. You see, there is one slight tiny massive fuck up in this super weapon. This is a nail, which, as we know from the Louis II run, is one of the nails from the crucifixion. Therefore, it technically has spilled the blood of Christ. And it's also a pointy thing. So let's hope there's more to being an anti-demon weapon than just spilling the blood of Christ, because otherwise it would mean that A, this quest is pointless, and B, Mortimer is one of the dumbest villains in the history of fiction, because that would mean he'd locked up one weapon capable of killing him using 3 weapons capable of killing him as keys, which he kept all together on his desk, in his own fucking study. Really? I didn't find all the clues? I don't know where I could have found another one. Was there another painting? A sculpture? A dialogue? And so this is the end of the video. If you're watching this shortly after the upload, don't forget to vote for the spear picked by Louis II. Louis IV will grab the one nearest the door.